What could be more relaxing on a mountain vacation than jury duty? Summit County struggles to fill jury boxes and is ready to crack down on people skipping out.
That is not beyond me to send out the deputies to knock on doors.
Congress has one more day to decide if 38,000 federal workers in Colorado will have unpaid work next week or an extended unpaid weekend. Why not back out of this race for mayor and apply for the job of city manager? That guy sure knows how to ask a tough question to the mayor who wanted more power but won't get it unless he applies for another job.
My good news is that the kids are sleeping through the night and the grandparents are here this weekend to take care of them.
Sleeping through the night? Sign me up for that, as our good news reaches new heights next. There's a mystery in the mountains that has the sheriff's office going door to door to find people who may not want to be found. Our Cole Sullivan learned about a judge going out of her way to find jurors.
With all the tourists in Summit County, there's a saying around the courthouse.
You come on vacation and leave on probation.
But these days, it's the locals drawing the anger of District Court Judge Karen Romeo.
But it's a very important civic duty, and they need to show up.
Need to show up for jury duty, because people here haven't been. Take last week's trial. Romeo expected 330 potential jurors to fill the courtroom benches. Instead, fewer than half showed up.
I thought this is going to be tough to get a jury with these low of numbers, to be honest.
The trial before, only a third came to court.
And I did. I sent deputies out knocking on doors.
She says the sheriff's office rounded up 6 more.
And because of that, we were able to pick a jury.
After 15 years on the bench, she's heard it all.
I lost my calendar. It was an honest mistake. I had to work. I didn't check my voicemail. You know, every excuse in the book.
Some excuses make sense. Others aren't going to cut it. Romeo issued court summons for the people who didn't show up last week.
And I typically give 8 hours of community service for every day that the jury served.
But she doesn't understand why people don't seize this civic duty that's also a constitutional right.
It was fought hard for in 1775, 1776. If you look back through history, they really debated the right to a jury trial.
So from now on, she wants folks in Summit County to know not showing up is not an option.
Someone's at a dinner and they say, oh, you don't need to go to jury duty. I hope someone says, oh, yes, you do. Otherwise, you're going to go see Judge Romeo and explain to her why you didn't show up.
So when there aren't enough people to pick a jury, Judge Romeo has to postpone the trial. That's an administrative problem that causes all kinds of issues with scheduling. But she says it also means a delay in justice, Marshall, for defendants and for victims.
She's got such a good name because people must love when the sheriff's office comes knocking for Judge Romeo. What if I'm there, yeah, but this is my summer vacation house before I go back to where I'm really from.
Which is a real issue in Summit County. They have a lot of folks who have second or third homes there. She says every time, that's one of the questions she has to ask, if this is somewhere where you live permanently. And if the answer is no, she says about 15 people's hands usually go up and she has to dismiss them because they can't serve on the jury.
I guess that's the best kind of jury duty for some people. I want to be on a jury. I am begging to be on a jury and I've never gone past the juror's room.
I've never been called before, but I would like to be.
Let's call on you right now about this nonsense. I see the colors. This is what?
I'm guilty as charged. Go Trojans.
That's the last USC reference we're going to have in this show. Thank you, Cole. Maybe thank you. Boebert, Buck, and the Democrats. A sitcom coming to NBC Thursdays this fall. Republican Representatives Lauren Boebert and Ken Buck joined Democrats today in rejecting a last-ditch deal to temporarily keep the government running past tomorrow's shutdown deadline. The vote today was on Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's continuing resolution. That's fancy talk for 30 days of government funding while Congress works on the bill to keep the government open for a year. Boebert has always been against the continuing resolution process, insisting that Republicans pass individual budget bills for each government agency instead of all of them in one big bill. Buck spent the week calling on McCarthy to cut a deal with Democrats, only to vote against the deal McCarthy made with Democrats. Why are we here? The House Speaker and President agreed to a debt limit deal earlier this year. Now the Speaker wants harsher spending cuts. There are 38,000 federal employees in Colorado, military families, and people who receive government assistance. I spoke with White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre this afternoon, asking if a Republican-led shutdown benefits the president with those federal employees who are also voters.
If you think about food security, food assistance, if you think about our border, if you think about education like Head Start, these programs are not going to be funded because of how extreme these House Republicans are and what they want to push forward to hurt American families. And that's the focus of this president, not the politics of this.
If the government shuts down at midnight Sunday morning, Coloradans will see delays in federal benefits and services like SNAP nutritional assistance, Social Security, and Medicare. Thousands of federal employees, airports, prisons, military bases, and national parks will face furloughs or work without pay. Democratic Governor Jared Polis has directed his Department of Natural Resources to keep the state's 4 national parks open. The state tried that during a shutdown in 2018 and the start of 2019. The parks remained open, but with significantly reduced services like trash, restroom cleanings, and road maintenance. One thing that won't stop if there's a government shutdown: federal student loan payments that resume also Sunday. Most loan servicers still operate during a shutdown, but if you need customer service help from the Department of Education, then you might be out of luck. And don't you just hate it when all the deadlines pile up at the same time? Besides a looming government shutdown this weekend, Kaiser Permanente is running out of time to reach a deal with its union. Without a new contract agreement, thousands of Colorado healthcare workers are prepared to strike next week. The union is negotiating for higher salaries and more staff recruitment. The contract expires, according to union officials, tomorrow. If there is no agreement, the union has put Kaiser on notice that workers will go on a 3-day strike starting Wednesday. Kaiser is Colorado's largest nonprofit healthcare provider with 6,800 employees. A strike would also impact clinics in 4 other states and Washington, D.C. Aurora's next mayor may be the current mayor, but whoever it will still be a weak mayor. In November, Aurora will decide between 3 candidates: current mayor Mike Kaufman, current council member Juan Marcano, and a 3rd candidate, Jeff Sanford. As we've explained in the last 2 months, Kaufman was behind a ballot issue to give Aurora's mayor more power instead of having a city manager in charge. That's not going to be on the ballot after all. So during a candidate forum last night, I asked Kaufman if he's seeking the right job. Why not back out of this race for mayor and apply for the job of city manager if you wanted the position of mayor to have more power, and it doesn't? Wouldn't city manager fit what you're looking for?
You know, I'm able to have leadership on policy, being that the differences between the mayor and the rest of the city council is the mayor's full-time. And given the amount of experience I have at the state, federal, and now local level, in business and the military in addition, that I can bring to it has enabled me to lead on policy, on major policy issues of the city. Even though the reality is that the mayor actually has less power than a member of city council, you know, by the virtue of the fact that the mayor can only vote to make or break a tie. But I've been able to utilize my position in terms of my leadership to be able to get big things done.
Juan Marcano opposes the strong mayor idea, both because of the secrecy involved in trying to get it on the ballot and because of the power grab. What's wrong with a mayor with more power?
I think that strong mayor forms of government have a tendency to trend towards nepotism and cronyism and more corruption generally. We are really well served, y'all, by having someone like interim city manager Jason Batchelor as our city manager. He has a background in public administration. He has the soft skills to run a $1.3 billion organization, and his background specifically is in financial management. So those are the kinds of qualities in executive leadership, and that's the kind of person that I feel comfortable having run the administrative day-to-day of the city.
Jeff Sanford, the 3rd candidate, has a background in public administration. I also asked him why he's not applying for city manager. He joked he didn't know it was an option. If at first you don't succeed, this weekend the Colorado GOP will try again at excluding hundreds of thousands of unaffiliated voters from having a say in the Republican presidential primary. Party chair Dave Williams has been spearheading the effort for months and now has the support of one of America's most prominent election deniers. Her name is Kari Lake. The Colorado Sun was first to report the options the state GOP will consider. If the party's Central Committee votes to opt out of the 2024 primaries in favor of the caucus and assembly process, it would give 3,000 Republican Party insiders the power to select a candidate for the general election. But the party's also considering a proposal to allow all registered Republicans to vote through a party-run process. Kari Lake, famous election denier, is actually going to be the keynote at their annual dinner in November. Both those options would exclude hundreds of thousands of unaffiliated voters from the choice of voting in the GOP primary. Unaffiliateds, the state's largest voting bloc, can choose to vote in either the Democratic or Republican primary if they want to vote at all in the primary. And if this weekend's efforts don't work, the state Republican Party still has a federal lawsuit to try to keep unaffiliateds out of choosing Republican candidates. This week, we have an opportunity to support Hispanic families in northern Colorado while also making sure they get a say in decisions impacting their communities. Here's Kyle with an update on this week's Word of Thanks.
Fort Collins is a wonderful place to live, and that's why people living along the North College corridor don't want to be displaced by development. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign has raised $6,000 and counting since Wednesday for a nonprofit that helps the neighbors in that largely Latino part of town. The Family Center, or La Familia, offers families in need first the essentials like hygiene supplies or car seat for a kid, but much of their work is providing child care for underserved communities. And their Mi Voz program organizes neighbors to better advocate for their community so they have a voice in what happens to vacant pieces of land, what kind of stores they'd like to see in their neighborhood, and even whether buying the mobile home parks where they live could keep them from being forced out by gentrification. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to join me and a bunch of other Coloradans in supporting the Family Center, La Familia, as they help families build stable lives in Fort Collins.
He was cleared of multiple sexual assault allegations. Now Denver School Board member Ayante Anderson is heading back to court on his terms. Don't let the name fool you. El Nino packs a big punch. Why conditions near the equator may determine Colorado's snowpack. And a little positivity to end the week, unless you're afraid of heights. Your good news takes flight next. A defamation lawsuit brought by Denver School Board Vice President Ayante Anderson is back on. It's a lawsuit he filed 2 years ago after he was accused of sexual assault. In 2021, Anderson sued multiple people and the group Black Lives Matter 5280. One of those people, Mary Catherine Brooks Fleming, had testified at the state capitol that 62 sexual assault victims came forward about an unnamed sexual predator at DPS. Denver police and investigators hired by the school district did not substantiate any of the assault allegations against Anderson, but the school board did censure him for flirting online with a teenager before he knew her age. A district court had dismissed his defamation claims, but this week an appeals court ordered the lower court to reconsider Anderson's claim against Brooks Fleming based on what she wrote on social media after testifying at the state capitol. The lower court previously allowed Anderson's defamation claim against a Parker activist to proceed. She posted on social media that Anderson had sexually assaulted multiple women. If you want to have an idea of how Colorado's snowpack will shape up this year, it might help to check the conditions at the equator. Warming or cooling surface temperatures in the Pacific can impact atmospheric conditions across the globe. This year, the temps are up, and that's when we talk about El Nino. That typically creates warmer conditions just north of Colorado, wetter conditions just south of us. It's hard to nail down the impact on our area, but El Nino usually coincides with colder and snowier conditions on the Front Range. Yes! It's a different story in the mountains. In the last 4 strong El Nino winters, 3 saw slightly below average snowpack, which is the amount of water stored in snow over the winter. That would be a big change, though, from last year when we had record snowpack in some parts of the state. Kathy, I learned this from Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Did you know that El Nino means the Nino?
Or the child in Spanish?
Well, I guess Chris Farley just didn't realize
No.
Nino should be translated also.
Well, everyone loves you and your glasses, but you have your sunglasses for the weekend.
Why can't it be cloudy? Why can't it be cloudy? It's fall.
Careful what you wish for. That's coming next week. New month, new weather pattern, whether we're ready for it or not. In the meantime, a beautiful day today, sunshine and 81 in Denver. We do have wind coming back into the forecast for the weekend and a couple of big football games, CU and CSU in town. And we've got a chance for that cloudy weather that Marshall loves, along with some showers as we start the new month of October. And look at the beautiful trees starting to change in the foreground here along the Front Range. A lot of people on the road getting up into the high country because the leaves in the northern and central mountains are peaking and temperatures temperatures are just about perfect. 79 now in Denver after a high of 81. It's very dry out there. Winds will be increasing out of the south, and that's why we're going to be talking about fire danger heading into the weekend. We have a little moisture coming in from the south, but it's this system off to the west that's going to move in close to high pressure and increase that pressure gradient. So gusty southerly winds tomorrow night into Sunday, but we'll be dry with temperatures in the 80s. We have fair skies tonight, a few clouds drifting in tomorrow, but a beautiful day, maybe a gusty thunderstorm late tomorrow afternoon along the Front Range foothills. But we'll look for temperatures to slide this evening out of the low 80s into the mid 70s. Temperatures trend above average for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then look at this, Marshall, cloudy and cooler Tuesday and Wednesday, highs in the 60s with a chance for showers. And let's not forget, CU takes the field at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Kickoff temperature at 67 degrees. And CSU takes the field tomorrow night at 5. It should be windy but warm with a temperature of 81 degrees.
My good news is that I get to wake up every morning and go hot air ballooning.
I've never said that before in my life. In fact, if I said that, I would be full of hot air. More good news, fewer puns, next. We end each week on a high note by asking for your good news. This week, we're literally ending on a high note and taking to the sky to find something to smile about.
So far, it looks like the weather's going to cooperate. It looks like we're going to be launching balloons.
It is a beautiful day, and thankful to be able to come out here in this gorgeous country and see this, the moon and the sun coming up and the balloons coming up. It's just beautiful.
Just going to kind of hang out and wait. We're letting all the guests are showing up right now.
My good news is that I get to wake up every morning and go hot air ballooning.
My good news is that we are 1 year married, and this is our gift to each other. This is our balloon ride.
My good news is that the kids are sleeping through the night and the grandparents are here this weekend to take care of them.
My good news is my husband is amazing and surprised me with this balloon ride today for my birthday.
My good news is last night we arrived here in Colorado from North Carolina to surprise our granddaughter for her 16th birthday. It was a great surprise.
It's just picturesque.
I mean, look at this.
Mountains in the background, the plains in front of us.
Good news, got over our fear of heights.
What's your good news Friday?
Dad is cancer-free, healthy as can be at 87 years old. Love you, Dad.
Another good news Friday, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for everything.
Thanks to Tom Cole for that. The bald-headed guy with glasses might have missed a word and has got to correct it next. A voicemail that I'm going to have to listen to. The bald-headed guy is taking Kyle Clark's place on Next and just said the Social Security benefits would be part of the shutdown for the government. That's not true. I might have missed a word. I said services. The Social Security benefits are there. Customer service, if you have questions, that will be hard to come by, kind of like having to pay your college expenses and not have customer service through the Department of Education. Our jury duty story, a text message. It is our right. It is an honor. I'm a busy business owner, wife and mom, and served on a jury and grand jury. We'd love to hear more about your service next time.